morning, everybody. We begin today the first of 6 weeks open. We begin today the first of 6 weeks open hearings. Can you hear me now? Can I now be heard? Good. We begin today the first day of 6 weeks of hearings of open evidence. We will sit as usual Monday to Thursday and occasionally on Friday as well. The proceedings will be transmitted over the live link, but only after a 15-minute, not 10-minute, 15-minute delay. The purpose of the longer delay is because the chances of there being inadvertent disclosures by managers are, because of the number of issues they have to deal with, are greater than that of ordinary officers and witnesses. And for those reasons, there is a 15-minute delay. Please observe that when those with mobile telephones transmit what they hear outside the hearing room as they may, but only after 15 minutes have elapsed since the event that they're describing. Mobile phones may not be used for recording or photography. Usual rules apply. Yes.
Take that in your right hand. I swear by Almighty God.
I swear by Almighty God.
That the evidence I shall give.
That the evidence I shall give.
Shall be the truth.
Shall be the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
And nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
Please sit down. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lambert, could you tell us your full name, please?
Robert Lambert.
Do you have a middle initial A?
Yes, yes.
Is that for a particular name or?
Yes, Alan.
Thank you. And are the contents of your witness statement for the inquiry dated the 17th of May 2024 true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
You tell us in that witness statement that you had no formal training for the role of detective inspector and operations manager in the SDS.
Yes.
Would specific formal training for that role have helped you to discharge your duties?
It's now I think yes, it may well have done.
If you had had formal training, looking back, what is it that formal training could have done to help you to discharge your duties properly?
I think it would have potentially given me time to reflect on the ethical issues surrounding the work.
You also tell us in the witness statement that you hadn't had any training on equalities. Can I take it from that you had no training on the Sex Discrimination Act, no training on the Race Relations Act?
At that time, yes.
Did you have any other training under your belt about policing diverse communities?
Can you just, repeat the question to me?
When you joined the SDS, did you have any other training under your belt relating to policing diverse communities?
Not that I can recall.
You tell us in your witness statement that you had been a police officer in C Squad, a liaison officer for 4 area between October 1982 and September 1983, and that in the aftermath of the November 1982 disturbances, you concentrated in that role specifically on Brixton. Is that right?
Yes.
So you were in post as a special branch liaison officer for an area which included Brixton when the evictions related disturbances occurred.
Yes.
And they, of course, followed not too long after the very serious rioting in 1981.
That's correct.
What was the state of racial tension in Brixton when you were the area liaison officer?
Significant.
Did you liaise with the local police officers in that role?
Yes, I had, well, what I can immediately recall is liaison, face-to-face liaison, probably both within Brixton Police Station and outside of Brixton Police Station, with two police officers that were at the time known as home beat officers, neighbourhood officers, and myself as a detective constable on C Squad, together with my detective sergeant on C Squad. We'd certainly had many, we had several visits to Brixton from our office in New Scotland Yard. There would have been periods when we were regular visitors, and those two officers who I can remember, the two home beat officers, gave us a very good insight into the local community.
In your dealings with officers at Brixton Police Station, did you ever hear any racist comments?
No, I didn't. Not that I can recall, and certainly I would. I can be very certain that the two home beat officers that we dealt with were very much to the contrary, very sensitive to their local community.
Would you have recognised racist attitudes at that time if you'd heard them?
Yes.
Did you have any contact with the local community in that role?
Yes, to an extent, through the home beat officers, people that they knew very well. Yeah.
How significant was the public order risk at that time in Brixton?
Well, I think it was an ongoing. It was an ongoing concern. I can't recall now all of the detail, but it was certainly it was certainly a significant issue.
Was that risk still extant when you rejoined the SDS in 1993?
When I rejoined in this tranche, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, as a manager.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I can't recall any of the sort of incidents, but yeah, I would think so.
And how important were race relations in Brixton to the Metropolitan Police Service at the time you rejoined the SDS?
Yes, very important, yeah.
Because of the risk of public disorder?
Yes.
And the risk to the reputation of the Metropolitan Police?
Yes.
And the risk to the foundation of policing by consent?
Yes.
Stephen Lawrence was murdered in April 1993. You were serving with E Squad at that time, we understand?
Yes.
I'm going to remind you of the chronology of events. The family gave a press conference on the 4th of May 1993 to the effect that not enough was being done to catch Stephen's killers. They met Nelson Mandela 2 days later. In May and June 1993, suspects were arrested, and two of them, Neil Accord and Luke Knight, were charged. Those charges were dropped on the 29th of July 1993. So a number of milestones during those months immediately before you rejoined the SDS. What was your awareness at the time of those events?
Yeah, I think because I was working on E-Squad on fairly important issues, I didn't give issues around the Stephen Lawrence murder close attention or any attention from a sort of professional point of view. But I could obviously, as a police officer and having worked in Brixton, I was, I followed it. I followed the news and, took it for the very serious issue that it was.
Was it a talking point amongst your colleagues?
I'm sure it would have been, but I can't recall now.
What was your sense of the significance of the Lawrence case to the Metropolitan Police Service at that time?
I can't recall before I joined the SDS whether I'd, had the opportunity to really think about the full impact, and of course, and it was a developing story. I don't think I can assist more.
Was it your sense that it was a case which had the capacity to spark public disorder?
I think I would have had that realisation, I think.
Was it your view that groups with revolutionary aims might try and exploit the case for their own ends?
Yes, indeed it would have been, and I mean very, very briefly, if I may, if I go back to that period of working in Brixton when I was on C Squad, as well as the liaison with home beat officers, which I've touched on, I can also recall deployments where I would be entering meetings that were organised by extremist groups. For example, one that comes to mind a meeting organised by the Revolutionary Communist Party that took place in Brixton, near to the town hall. So yes, I certainly had that experience and realisation, yeah.
And did that realisation extend to concern for what damage the case might do to the reputation of the Metropolitan Police Service?
Yes.
And to race relations between London's black community and the Metropolitan Police Service?
I would have had that general awareness.
When you joined the SDS, was the Lawrence case and the sort of things I've just been asking you about a topic of conversation in the early months of your tenure?
I'm sure it would have been. I can't recall any particular conversations.
I'll remind you of some of the key events in that time period. On the 22nd of December 1993, the inquest was halted because it was said there was dramatic new evidence. In April 1994, there was a decision not to prosecute, and in September 1994, a private prosecution was launched. During that period, do those milestones jog your memory at all?
They don't jog my memory of specifically related responses or discussions on the SDS. I'm sure there were, but I can't call it to mind. I don't think I've seen any documents that sort of talk to that.
Was the SDS in that period seeking intelligence relevant to whether or not groups with revolutionary aims were seeking to involve themselves in the Stephen Lawrence campaign?
Yes.
And was the SDS interested in what contact that sort of group might be having with Stephen's family?
Yes.
Interested in who was in contact with the family, how and why?
Yes.
Interested in what the family's position and response and actions were relating to that sort of approach?
Yes, I think yes is the answer, but I think always through the perspective of the group that me as an SDS manager, the groups that one or more of our undercover officers are targeting. This certainly would have been expected of me as a manager and of those deployed officers. They wouldn't really have needed express directions, but for sure.
Interested in what sort of people the Lawrences were?
No, I've got to, I think, be clear here. There was no SDS remit or interest in finding out anything about the Lawrence family. Our concern was absolutely focused on target groups that had an interest in the Stephen Lawrence campaign.
Presumably, though, it would be relevant to know how amenable the Lawrences were to influences from revolutionary groups.
Well, it would sound, yeah, it would be if it was intelligence from such an officer, then it would be reported, yeah.
And to that extent, what sort of people the Lawrences were was relevant to you, wasn't it?
Yeah, as long as we're agreed about the role of the SDS, the clear remit of both managers and undercover officers, for sure.
You would be interested in whether there was anything about them which might strengthen or detract from the strength of their campaign.
Could you repeat that, please?
You would be interested in whether there was anything about the Lawrences which might strengthen or detract from the strength of their campaign.
Yes, I'd accept that.
And you've invited me to agree a line, but isn't the reality that it's two sides of the same coin? You are interested in the Lawrences because you are interested in the strength of the campaign.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Was any of that discussed at the bi-weekly meetings with your officers?
Not that I can recall. It may well have been.
What intelligence is coming through, what to look for? Was that the sort of conversation that would be had at the bi-weekly meetings?
Yes. What was an individual field officer, as we called them, what was their target group doing in respect of the Stephen Lawrence campaign?
And so for those of your UCOs who were well positioned to gain such intelligence, it was very much on the menu.
Yes.
I want you to be very careful about anonymity answering this next question. But was intelligence about the Stephen Lawrence campaign or groups involved with it something that you would have discussed in one-to-one meetings with your officers?
Well, it's possible. I can't recall at the moment.
Can you recall whether HN86 was saying anything in any way related to who was surrounding the Lawrence family in the wake of Stephen's murder?
No.
Is it something that you were likely to have discussed?
Yes.
Did Detective Constable Francis say anything about the intelligence he was gathering that was relevant to the Stephen Lawrence campaign or the Lawrence family?
Not that I can remember, no.
Did he say anything to you about having been given a list of names of people believed to be involved and getting close to the Lawrence family for him to investigate?
No.
Or anything like that?
I don't. Does he say when?
Our understanding of his evidence is that he says he was given a list by HN86
Right.
of people who were known to have gone into the Lawrence family home in the aftermath of the murder to check them out and keep an eye on them. We understand that probably took place before you joined, and I'm asking you whether he said anything to you about it.
Not that I can recall.
Did he ever discuss with you who was getting close to the Lawrence family?
I don't think so, but, I can't rule that out. I don't recall.
Can you recall whether he said anything to you about the Lawrence family?
No.
Did HN67 raise the subject with you?
67?
Yeah.
Quite possibly, but I can't recall.
Did Detective Sergeant Morris?
Almost certainly. I would have, I would have expected that he would have done. I've got no actual recollection.
He was well placed to gather the sort of intelligence that you were interested on that subject, wasn't he?
Yes, yes.
Did you have contact with the Special Branch Area Liaison Officer for Area 3 following Stephen's murder?
No, I don't believe that I did.
At any point in time whilst you were serving as a detective inspector in the SDS?
No, no.
I've gone through with you in fairly high-level terms about what the SDS and the MPS would be interested in intelligence-wise. Is there anything in the intelligence requirements arising from the Stephen Lawrence campaign that I have missed?
I don't think so.
How much contact did you have with C Squad about issues in any way related to campaigning following Stephen's murder?
I can't really quantify that. I'm sure I would have had contact, but nothing specific that I can recall.
Would it be a fair impression then to say that when you met C Squad officers or had communications with them, it would be one of the topics that you would talk to them about?
Yes, yes.
Did you have any contact with those tasked with policing public order, TO20 or any successor
No,
unit?
no.
Did you get any feedback through C Squad from TO20 or any other public order related uniform policing relating to Lawrence related campaigning?
Almost certainly, if it was in regard to a public order event, then yes.
Can you recall any of the specifics?
Would it be right to include the Welling Bookshop demonstration?
Well,
or is that slightly too...
Our understanding is you joined the SDS just after that.
That's right.
Yeah, and we understand that there was positive feedback about SDS intelligence following that event.
Yes.
Did you consider at the time that Stephen Lawrence's murder and the attack on Dwayne Brooks were racist?
Yes.
To move now to ask you a little bit more about the people that you were working with or taking over from when you joined the SDS as a manager. First of all, Detective Inspector HN 67. Were you aware of a rumour that he had slept with an activist at that stage?
No.
Were you aware of a suggestion that HN 67 had fathered a child?
No.
Did he say anything at all to you on the subject of undercover police officers and sexual activity undercover relating either to himself or anyone else?
No. Surprising as it may seem, but given my background as a field officer, and given his, it may seem extraordinary, but honestly, no. I'm pretty sure that we didn't.
Did he say anything about the prospects of it happening to the UCOs that you were in charge of?
It's possible, but I have no recollection of it.
Prior to this inquiry, did you ever become aware of a rumour that HN67 had slept with an activist?
Yes.
When did you first find out?
I can't really pin it down, and it was nothing. It wasn't, you know, it would be in the context of a rumour.
When you say you can't pin it down, can you help us narrow down a little? Is it whilst you were in the SDS or still in the police?
I can't even do that, I'm afraid.
Can you help us, being careful about anonymity, writing down any names if you need to, how you find out?
No, I can't really do that either.
Did you become aware of any suggestion that he'd fathered a child?
That honestly, I think only arose with any clarity reading one of the transcripts here.
When you say with any clarity, can I take it that you'd had a whiff of it before then?
I just had, you know, a rumour, but not that related to him, and I didn't really attach much at the time. I didn't really attach much sort of credibility to the rumour.
What was the rumour?
Just about someone, of course, could have been me, couldn't it? But, you know, a rumour about a field officer having fathered a child.
And where had that rumour, where did it come to your ear from?
I can't recall.
Can I move now to DCI HN86? How well did you know HN86 before you joined the SDS?
Very well.
What sort of man was he?
For me personally, he was a very kind man. I didn't come to that view immediately, but I don't know if. Well, I'll pause.
Well, I was asking you what kind of man he was. Can I specifically, was he the sort of man who was very considerate to others?
Yes. Yeah, he was very considerate to me. In between my undercover posting and my management posting, when my daughter died suddenly, unexpectedly. So that obviously is something that is sort of very personal and quite meaningful. Prior to that, I'd worked with him again on C Squad. That period we were looking at earlier, he was a sergeant, I think, then. So I had got to know him very well, and then I think he was quite private, like most of us. But the things that he did for me on the welfare front at a difficult time will stay with me.
We've had some evidence that there was some tension between HN86 and Trevor Morris.
Yeah.
And that there may have been a perception of race discrimination. Were you aware of any such tension?
I wasn't, or at least I don't recall. I don't recall any, particular tension.
Was HN86 considerate towards Trevor Morris?
My reading of the situation, arriving on the squad, yes, that was how I saw him interacting with Trevor. Must have seen it on a regular basis for quite, over what was it, perhaps for 6 months or more.
When you say seen it,
what I mean is their regular interactions.
my question was specifically aimed at consideration. Can you think of any respect in which HN86 was considerate to Trevor Morris or not?
Well, I can't recall him being inconsiderate, but obviously I wasn't privy to every time they met or spoke.
What were HN86's views about the far left's relationship with the black community?
I'm sorry, could you repeat it?
Yes. What were HN86's views about the far left's relationship with the black community?
Well, that it was central. It was a central concern. It was very much an issue for the SDS. Yeah.
Did he believe that the black community were being exploited by the far left?
I can't honestly recall today. I don't remember that. I don't. I don't remember anything that he said either to Trevor Morris or more widely that would be unprofessional. Outside of our work.
My question doesn't have any such boundary. Did he believe that the far left was exploiting the black community?
That I think I would put it this way, that he would have understood from experience that the far left was would be always seeking to do that.
Did he think they were inciting the black community to disorder?
Potentially on specific occasions.
Using them for their own ends?
Yes.
Leading them, or trying to?
Yes.
In what terms did he express those views?
Well, I can only recall it being in a professional manner.
Did you share those views?
Broadly, yes.
Did HN86 ever refer to black people as monkeys?
Not at all. Certainly not in my presence. And I mean, had he said it to anyone on the unit, I would have expected to hear about it.
Did he ever refer to any black person as a monkey?
No, not well. No, he didn't.
Did he ever refer to black people being led by rings through their noses?
Not to the best of my recollection.
Did you ever hear anyone say that he'd said any such thing?
No.
Did he say anything to the effect that he thought that the Lawrence family campaign was being led by Imran Khan?
I've no recollection of that.
Did he ever say anything to the effect that the far left was organising the black community?
I can't recall.
Is that the sort of thing he might have said?
Yes.
Did he say anything to the effect that it was the job of the SDS to stop that happening?
I think that's unlikely. I think he would have taken the view that it was the SDS job to report such, if there was intelligence to that effect, that, that was our job.
With a view to undermining their efforts to do so?
Not necessarily. To enable our customers, people that read our intelligence reports, to enable them to, be aware.
Did he ever say anything to the effect of, or remotely like, it's our job to stop it before all the monkeys in London got out of our trees?
No, I'm certain that he didn't.
Did you ever hear him express any racist view or any racist language?
No.
Did anyone ever communicate to you that he had?
No, not to the best of my recollection, no.
Did HN86 express a view to you that it would have been better if it had been Dwayne Brooks rather than Stephen Lawrence who had been murdered?
No.
Or anything like that?
No.
Was there mention of Dwayne Brooks in the SDS that you can remember?
I can remember that there was. I can't remember any detail, I don't think I've read anything in my pack that helps.
What can you remember?
Simply that he was a close associate of Stephen Lawrence.
Did you ever hear anyone referring to him by pronouncing his first name very slowly, as if he were thick?
No.
Did you ever hear anyone express the view that he was a coward for running away on the night that Stephen was murdered?
No.
Did you hear anyone say anything derogatory about Mr. Brooks?
No.
Are you sure?
I am.
Was there ever any racist banter in the SDS office?
No.
I don't want you to give any specific details of any officers, but you were, when you arrived in the SDS, managing a unit which was infiltrating both the far left and the far right. Is it really the case that there was no racist banter in the SDS office when you had officers infiltrating both the far left and the far right?
Well, not racist banter, not at all. What there would often be would be on a Monday or Thursday, one of the regular meetings, there would be the opportunity for an officer on either side of this, far right, far left, to recount what their target group, what people in their target group, what their take was, and to be followed immediately by an officer on the opposite side of this very big divide, giving their account, and that would involve often anecdotes. So we would, all of us present, we would be privy to some pretty dreadful racist comments, but in that context, from the reporting of one of our officers on what was being said about people of colour, or specifically to the Lawrence case, none of which was either our management or our field officers in any way engaging in racist banter.
I want to be clear about the atmosphere. You'll recall from your evidence in Tranche 2 that, and the evidence of others in Tranche 2, that there were plenty of examples of very flippant reporting, inappropriate things being committed to paper, that sort of thing. There is as well in our Tranche 3 evidence. Is it really your evidence that on matters of race, all conversations within the SDS were entirely earnest and thoroughly professional, or was there any inappropriate comments, banter, and things which in the cold light of day would not reflect well?
I think if it was possible to sit in one of those regular group meetings and to actually hear how the field officers were dealing with, yes, of course, there would be humour, but if it was not ever officers themselves expressing anything at all racist. It was the groups that they were infiltrating and so forth.
Did HN86 ever say anything to you in relation to HN1 having a sexual relationship with Denise Fuller?
Did HN86
ever speak to you on that subject?
No, not that I can recall. We're still with the same DCI, aren't we?
Yes, HN86.
Yeah.
Your first
no,
DCI.
No.
Did he say anything at all to you on the subject of undercover police officers and sexual activity undercover relating to any of the UCOs?
No.
Are you sure of that?
I'm reasonably sure, yeah.
Did he speak to you about the risk of that happening?
I'm sure he would have done, but I can't recall it.
In what context?
Well, I think the context was how to, how to how to avoid it happening. I'm not sure.
When you say you're not sure, was it really in the context of trying to avoid it?
I believe it was. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind that I haven't addressed, I suppose I haven't been asked to address in my statement, but when I was working with HN 86, he was keen to ensure that the senior field officers at the time, so this is when I joined, and he is telling me what he, about the squad and what he expects from me, and he did hold up senior field officers as particular people who he felt were sort of excellent role models, in that I think he didn't say, oh, well, because they have not engaged in, or they're not engaged in sexual relationships, but he described them as being excellent role models, people that new recruits should go to because of their tradecraft, and they, as far as he was concerned, they were doing excellent work and were not, to the best of his knowledge, engaged in sexual relationships.
Do you have a positive recollection of him specifically adding that last qualification?
Yeah, I mean that's my reflection on it. I don't.
You say it's your reflection on it. Do you have a positive recollection of him saying that?
No, my only positive recollection is of him recommending particular field officers as role models.
I want you to be very careful about anonymity answering the next two questions, but do the role models include Andy Coles and HN1?
Well, I think certainly Andy Coles, I think HN1 possibly at that time wasn't a senior field officer. And I think whether this came directly from HN 86 at that time, but obviously sticks in my mind is the fact that Andy Coles, he would have told me had made a big sort of an innovation in terms of tradecraft by having a pet dog, and that this dog was with him, all the time. So,
can I just stop you there and ask you, was Detective Sergeant Morris another person that HN 86 thought was an exemplary officer?
Again, I don't think he was, at that time, he wasn't a senior figure.
What steps had HN86 taken, if any, to avoid or reduce the risk of sexual relationships undercover?
Other than what I've just mentioned, no, nothing that I can recall.
Can I move now to Chief Superintendent Potter? How well did you know Chief Superintendent Bob Potter before you joined the SDS?
Not very well.
When you say not very well, had you had any contact with him at all?
Yes.
And so how well did you know him?
Just as a senior officer, and who I'd probably spoken to half a dozen times.
What was he like?
Yeah, he was a very friendly man, big, very approachable. Yeah.
Had you ever heard the nickname applied to him, Potty Bob?
I hadn't, but when I read it, I thought, rather than it referring to, bad language, I thought it was an unhappy reference to his mental illness, which, obviously afflicted him at the end of his special branch career.
Did he use bad language?
Not ever that I heard, no.
Did he use sexist or racist language?
Not in my presence.
Are you familiar with the incident which led to Chief Superintendent Potter's medical retirement?
Well, I would have to say yes, I am, but I'm also aware of at least one other significant incident in that, at the tail end of his career. Yeah.
The incident that ended his career was one of frank racism. Was the other incident that you're referring to anything to do with racism?
No.
Or sexism? Or sexism?
No.
When did you first hear about the incident which ended Chief Superintendent Potter's career?
I'm fairly sure that I heard about it in the office where I worked immediately prior to rejoining the SDS.
We've heard evidence that the incident happened when he was on his way home from an SDS social event. Are you able to help us with whether or not that is correct?
I can't, no.
And can I take it from that answer that if it was, you weren't there?
Yes.
So when you did hear in your employment immediately prior to the SDS of the incident, in what terms was it communicated to you?
That he'd entered some public premises, I think in Streatham, and had some, some interaction with persons at this venue, and that it was that he was gone completely off the rails, that it was at that point in time that it was the second major incident of in a public place where he had just seemingly kind of run amok.
Was the racial dimension included?
Not that I recall, initially.
When did you find out about that?
About the racial?
About the fact it had involved serious racial abuse?
To be honest, I think, much more recently. I think it doesn't add up to much, but just because I was in an office that was fairly close along the corridor from where he worked or was based, that was the sort of talking point, obviously, and hence, Potty Bob, he's had another, what they were, at the time they were seen as sort of crazy incidents. I'm not going to describe the first one, but just an ordinarily, ordinary guy just completely going berserk.
Was the fact that the second incident involved grossly racist language not a talking point?
Well, not in, we're probably talking the day after it had happened, but, it's, there would have been people far closer to the incident who would have known. I was really very much on the periphery, just picking up.
Can we move now to your appointment as Detective Inspector in the SDS? Who selected you? And be careful if they're anonymous.
The first person I recall speaking to me about it, I'll have a look here. He was, I think, a superintendent who, I think he had he definitely worked on the SDS, but when he spoke to me, he was a superintendent on E Squad. Where are we? Are they? No, it hasn't. I haven't found it.
Okay. We can come back to that if we need to. Did that person know that you had sexually deceived women whilst you were an undercover police officer?
Not to the best of my knowledge at that time, and
Did any of the people who were involved in your appointment know that?
Well, not that I was made aware of.
Did any of them know that you'd fathered a child undercover?
Not that I was aware of.
Can I take it from those answers that you didn't declare it?
Yes, that's correct.
Did you consider that your conduct sexually undercover in any way rendered you unsuitable for the role?
Yes. Yes.
Why did you accept the role then?
Well, I think because I allowed other considerations to override my concern.
What was your concern?
Well, how how effective could I be? How genuine could I be? If I was to withhold that knowledge, I was in obvious danger of being a hypocrite, and hypocrite, ineffective, sort of conflicted, as indeed I think I probably often was, conflicted. But there we are.
What were the competing considerations?
Well, a duty which seems clear enough now to, as a manager, to be absolutely clear and frank with the field officers.
I mean, the competing considerations that made you take the role even though you said you thought you were unsuitable for it.
I think primarily the focus, the opportunity, the job offer was really to focus on the operational security of the unit, the individual police officers, and I guess, to the extent that I probably already managed to compartmentalise my life. I guess I probably knew that I was capable of doing that in this role. I thought long and hard about it. I was perfectly happy doing the prior job. I was very much in two minds. I think I had thought a lot about the benefit of being away from it, benefit for me and family, and this was at a time of great distress, bereavement, and so there we are.
It's a long time ago, Mr. Lambert, and a lot has happened since. Can I ask you to reflect on the answers you've given me? Because we're going to go to a lot of your managerial documents relating to sexual relationships,
yes,
or documents you were involved in. Was it really, in 1993, a matter that was preying on your mind that you had deceived women whilst undercover?
Yes, and I dealt with it by putting it to the back of my mind. But when I was being approached to rejoin the STS, obviously I thought, well, that's going to be a problem.
The role was one that you regarded as important and exciting?
Yes,
Very important?
yes.
Was the position that you were thinking at the time that because the SDS's mission was so important that the ends justified the means?
There must have been a degree of that, but within the framework of the SDS, not without boundaries.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting it was wholly without any boundaries whatsoever, but that having sexual relationships with people undercover was one of the things that happened sometimes, and it was one of the means to an exceptionally important end. Is that the way you looked at it?
No.
Were you involved in due course with the recruitment of HN 53?
Is it undercover or?
No, as your replacement.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yes.
Now, I don't want you to give any details of HN 53's undercover deployment, anything which might identify HN 53, but did you regard his previous service in the SDS as an advantage?
Yes.
And again, without any identifying details, in broad terms, why was that?
To be able to, that he would be able to understand the perspective of the field officers, and he'd also have experience of management of the unit, of being a field officer, a perspective on management from that, yeah.
Having had himself to confront the conundrums that occur whilst undercover.
Yes.
So would that be an appropriate time to take the morning break?
Certainly it would. Quarter of an hour? Yes. We'll break for a quarter of an hour.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lambert, can we now turn to the period between your leaving the SDS in the late 80s and returning to the SDS in the autumn of 1993? How much contact did you have with the unit in that intervening period?
Some contact. Yes, well, difficult to quantify. Not a lot, but some, yeah.
Our understanding is that you may have been involved in mentoring John Dines, HN87, HN1, and Andy Coles. Is that right?
Probably. Certainly I can remember Andy Coles in respect of mentoring.
And were you the sort of experienced former UCO who would be asked to speak to UCOs from time to time?
Yes.
Can I move on now to the early days of your time as Detective Inspector in the SDS? One of the things that crosses your desk fairly early on is the problems caused by Mike Chitty.
Yes.
I'm going to show you the first document, really just to remind you and anchor this in time. 746109, please. This is a welfare note that you draft, dealing essentially with the fact that Mike Chitty had gone AWOL and the actions that you'd been involved in as a result. And we see at the top of paragraph 1 that on the 10th of March 1994, you'd been to see Mr. Chitty's wife. And that was because he was missing. If we take that down now and have up, please, 746110. This is another document entitled Welfare Note about Mr. Chitty and long-term sick leave. If we could have the first 3 paragraphs expanded, please. Give you a moment just to refresh your memory.
Yeah.
So you've discovered that a former undercover police officer has been using his alter ego in an unauthorised manner and has been doing so since August of 1989 at the least. And from paragraph 2, it appears, can we take it from the wording, what you're really referring to is an intimate sexual relationship?
Yes.
How did you make that discovery in the intervening period between learning that Mr. Chitty had gone AWOL and here, this is the 21st of March, this document, in that 6-day period?
Well, I would have found it out I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Let me help you if it's not coming immediately to mind. Had you had a number of conversations with Mr. Chitty, and had you been shown a series of love letters which he was keeping in a toolbox in his garage?
Yes, that's right.
Can we take that document down now and have 726956 up, please? This is tab B52, sir. And if we go to the second page to see the title, this is a discussion paper. It's May 1994, so the same month. 2 months later. Page 4, please. Let's see the subject. It's about the Chitty case, part 1. It says there's going to be a part 2, current policy and practice. Was there ever a part 2?
I think so. I think it, but it's not titled in that way. I think it's a document that's in my bundle for sure. It's just definitely, I think that that follow-up, I could find it in due course, yeah.
Thank you. Can we have page 6, please? And from the 6th paragraph down, we see that you are describing yourself as an operations manager. I think it's in that paragraph, or if not that paragraph, another one. Is that right? That was your title, operations officer?
Yes.
Can we have page 9, please? And if we have paragraph 1.1, I'll give you a moment to remind yourself about that. But what I'm really interested in is the bit at the bottom about the golden rule.
Right. Yeah, okay.
So the golden rule is emphasised in bold. Can we take it that it was a guiding principle of the SDS?
Yes.
And was it strongly inculcated in all undercover officers?
I would think so.
In your view, was Mr. Chitty's behaviour a truly shocking breach of the golden rule?
Well, not shocking, but certainly, okay, it's.
Choose your own adjective. How would you describe it?
Well, an example. It was an example.
On the scale of seriousness?
Yeah, serious. Yeah.
Would it also be right that in the resolution of the Chitty affair, if I call it that, central to the resolution was the application of the golden rule, that the problem had to be resolved without compromising the integrity of the operation?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that the golden rule was so important to the SDS that you had yourself applied it, for example, in the way you dealt with TBS?
Yes.
Did the fact that the golden rule was well known and thoroughly inculcated in SDS officers mean that Chitty could disclose to you what he had done, knowing that the SDS would want a resolution that in no way compromised the integrity of the operation?
Quite probably.
Because he is, in fact, quite forthcoming with you, isn't he?
Yeah.
Did he also know that you had had sexual relationships undercover?
I can't say for certain at that time, but I think at some point he either suspected it, I'm not sure.
And that it was a not uncommon occurrence within the SDS?
Not as common as I now know it to be.
But not unheard of either?
No.
If we go to page 10, paragraph 1.3 at the top. So I think maybe next page. Yes. So if we look at that paragraph, would it be fair to say you are further emphasising here the serious nature of Mr. Chitty's breach of the Golden Rule, because what he has done, which is particularly striking, is continued to use his cover identity after exfiltration?
Yes.
Could we go to page 18, please? Paragraph 2.10. Let you have a look at that.
Yes.
The phrase in the second line, all officers who have worked in the animal rights field admit to having formed close friendships with activists. That's a form of words that you are using to include, amongst other things, sexual relationships.
Quite probably.
And that is because it is a very striking feature of the SDS's work in the animal rights field that the incidence of sexual relationships is very high, isn't it?
Yes.
You, Mr. Chitty, Mr. Dines, HN87 to some extent, subject to the chairman's findings, Mr. Coles, HN26, Mr. Thompson, and as we have recently learned, HN60. And can I take it from your choice of words here that when you wrote this in May 1994, you were well aware of the fact there was a high incidence of sexual relationships undercover in the animal rights field?
No, I was not aware of this level of incidence at that time. I was certainly aware of the potential, the risks.
If we look at 2.12 on page 19, please. I'll let you have a look at that, but it's particularly towards the end of the paragraph that I'm going to be asking you about.
Yeah.
Long confided in the writer that his marriage held no interest for him, appears to have had no real emotional counterbalance to the temptation to return secretly to the warmth of a close female associate in the animal rights movement. Can we take it from that you had known for some time that Mr. Chitty had involved himself in sexual activity whilst undercover?
Well, my role, I think from the documents that I've read, as a welfare role with DS Chitty, I think it does predate my return to the management. So quite difficult to immediately get my head around the chronology, but yes, it's over quite a long period. You see, it was a disciplinary issue in his new workplace.
Yeah.
That
we've seen the documents. If I could stop you there,
right,
and ask you, when did you first know that Mr. Chitty had been involved sexually with activists undercover?
I can't recall now. I would have been able to answer clearly at the time that I wrote this.
Would it have been whilst he was deployed?
I don't think so, no.
So does it follow that you think it's most likely you came to learn in the period between leaving the SDS and resuming as a manager?
Or during the whole course of this engagement with him that I'm reading at the moment, yeah.
But we went back, we looked a moment ago at some of your writing which made very clear you understood the very close relationships that developed in the animal rights field.
Yes.
You knew, didn't you, that this was happening in the animal rights field before you resumed your work as
I think at that, when I was field officer, I would have known that, there was a possibility that Mike Chitty was engaging in a sexual relationship, but I honestly don't recall any discussions with him or anyone else.
Would it be fair to say that it was no surprise that he had been involved sexually as an undercover officer? The surprise was he was still doing it.
Yes.
Can we go to page 20, paragraph 215, please? Give you a moment to read that, and then you may need to read the next paragraph as well.
Yeah.
And if we look at the next paragraph then, please, which runs over the page.
Which I'm not quite sure. Right. Yep, got it.
I don't think we need to go to it, but later on there's a reference to passengers within the unit. You are making a distinction in these two paragraphs, aren't you, between someone like Detective Sergeant Chitty, who didn't get very involved with direct action, and yourself, who did.
Yes.
Between deep swimmers and shallow paddlers.
Yes.
Mr. Chitty, a shallow paddler, yourself, a deep swimmer.
Yes.
Fair that during your time as a detective inspector, you encouraged deep swimming.
Yes.
Because shallow paddling was just ineffective.
I think now, looking at it, I think it's the comments that I'm reading are a little bit harsh, a bit too black and white. But I want, I think, but in broad terms, I accept it, yeah.
If we can have page 27, please, paragraph 3.3. I'll let you read that. This is a further document about the Chitty affair. And what I'm interested in is Mr. Chitty's failure to return items capable of supporting his legend. Now, I don't want any specifics about particular documents, but what I want to ask you is if one of the issues that has been identified is that Chitty has been able to continue to conduct his alter ego because he's had items which he failed to return, was any thought given to tightening up procedures to prevent it happening again?
Yes, I'm sure thought and probably action was given.
What action was taken?
I can't recall now.
Because the reason I'm asking this question is that an officer, the start of whose deployment you see, Detective Sergeant Thompson, also stays in touch with women he's met undercover after his deployment ends. And we have not got evidence of any tightening up after the Chitty affair. We do have evidence of tightening up after the Thompson affair.
Yes.
Is it right there was a missed opportunity to tighten up and minimise the risk of officers continuing to use their identities after their deployments?
It's highly likely, but I can't say any more than that. I think in what equates to the part 2 of the Chitty case report, which I've read in the last few days, I think, which I wrote, there's certainly issues there where I was hoping to persuade senior management to tighten certain things up, whether it was, I don't think I mentioned documents, so your issue at the moment, I'm sorry, I can't think of anything concrete that was done, so there may well have been a missed opportunity.
Can we go to page 28, please, in paragraph 3.5? Give you a moment to read that, but it's the content near the start which is of particular interest.
Yes.
The way this is written, during his official tour of duty, DS Chitty was romantically attached to a number of women within South London animal movement. It's not written with any surprise or in terms of it being a revelation. Can I take it from that this was something that was already known?
Not necessarily. I think this is me reporting what I've established from conversations with him. I can't, but in any event, I was bringing the matter to the attention of senior managers, for sure.
If we could just focus in on the reaction to that. What was the reaction to your bringing to senior managers' attention the fact that DS Chitty had been romantically attached to a number of women?
What was senior managers' reaction?
Yeah.
Well, I had no face-to-face response. What I had, all I had, and all I really remember are the minuted responses of senior officers that I'm sure you've read.
And we'll come to, yes. Page 47, please, paragraph 6.2. What you're recording here is that Andy Coles has been at the same social event as the man masquerading as Mike Blake.
Yes.
And the date, I showed you the very first document in the sequence when Chitty goes AWOL was in March. This is the 16th of April. So Chitty is still masquerading as Mike Blake after it is known that he is using his fake identity and is using it for sexual purposes.
Well, I'm sure you have. I hadn't worked out that chronology myself, but if that's the right chronology, then yes.
And nobody is stopping Chitty from doing that.
Seemingly, no.
Did you do anything to get him to stop?
Well, not. I'd have to look closely through the reporting. I think the instructions or directions that I had were to, try and maintain some sort of contact with him, which I know is reported. I'm sure there would have been.
Well, you say you're sure there would have been. There isn't a trace in the documents. On the contrary, would it be fairer to say that what was running through everybody's mind was adherence to the golden rule and whatever happens, not compromising SDS operational security?
I see. Right, okay, well, that must be, that's plausible, yeah.
And no one wants to do anything which might provoke Chitty to blowing the cover of the SDS.
And I think that probably helps me to think, what I was being asked to do, which would be to, speak in, by attending to his welfare to try and restrain him or influence him, and with, I guess, with the discipline hearing coming up at some point, he would have had a date for his disciplinary hearing, and I guess that would have been one sort of lever of influence that I had.
Sorry, what was the lever?
The disciplinary hearing and the willingness of SDS managers, past and present, myself, and a former manager, to give evidence on his behalf at the disciplinary hearing.
Yes, we'll come to that in a moment. Can I move, for present purposes, to the section of this paragraph which says Blake attended with Lizzie and an infant. Lizzie clearly the mother, Blake not necessarily the father. Did you ask Chitty whether he was the father?
What can I say? I may well have done. If I didn't record it, I can't recall at this stage.
What was the answer?
I don't know. I don't think it was. I mean, for me to say that, it's Lizzie clearly the mother. I don't think I ever had any real evidence to.
I'm not asking whether you had evidence. I'm asking you whether you asked and what the answer was. And my understanding of your answer is you say you don't know.
Well, no, I can be clearer than that. If I did, if I had asked him, and if he had told me that he was the father, then I would definitely remember it today.
But you might not have asked him.
That's correct.
And is that because, for SDS purposes at the time, it didn't matter?
It wouldn't be fair to say that it didn't matter, but I was under no, managers or senior managers read this report. No one told me to, ask a question.
Understood. That's understood. Nobody's asking you to ask these questions. But if it had mattered to the SDS at the time, you would have recorded that you had asked and what the answer was, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And can we take it from the absence of that question being addressed that it didn't matter to the SDS?
I think that's unfair, certainly on me, that, unless I could, if I'd been asked at the time, I could recreate the context in which I'm getting this information, intelligence. Without that, I can't really have a conclusion.
Do you know now whether or not Mike Blake is the father of Lizzie's child?
Well, I don't know. I'd be very surprised if he was the father of the child.
Can we go to page 53, please? And paragraphs, once we've got 53 up, paragraph 6.14 and 6.15. I'll give you a moment to look at those. And if we go over the page, once you've read that, to 616.
Yes.
And if I think it goes over the page. So this, tell me when you've read it.
I beg your pardon?
Have you read all of that now?
Oh, sorry. No, let me... Ah, yeah. Okay, thank you.
So this, in effect, these three paragraphs are essentially recording a risk assessment.
Yes, yes.
On the one hand, you don't think Mr. Chitty, Detective Sergeant Chitty, is likely to blow the SDS as cover because it would have adverse effects on him as well. Not least, it would stop him continuing to act in his cover identity and continuing to have fun with the activists.
I don't think that was what I was addressing when I was writing it, but I take your point.
On the other hand, there is a risk that he might do so because he's quite unpredictable at the time.
Yeah.
And the consequences, as you portray them, would be very grave.
Yes.
That he would be able very quickly to blow the cover of fellow undercover officers in the animal rights world, including yourself.
Yes.
And no doubt including Mr. Dines.
Yes.
And the very least that these officers and families should expect would be postal bombs. So potentially very severe consequences. Therefore, you are advancing a case against discipline and in favour of medical retirement.
Yes.
To protect the SDS operation and to protect you and other former undercover police officers.
Yes.
In fact, we know since your cover has been blown, no physical retribution has been sought, has it?
That's correct.
When you wrote this, did you actually believe that you might be the subject of a postal bomb?
Yes, I had every reason to think that that was a risk, a significant risk.
Well, the people
Sorry.
you were mixing with undercover were certainly capable of committing large-scale damage to property, but injuring people was not their style, was it?
I don't think that's that's altogether fair. I think throughout my deployment and, well, both deployments, undercover and office, I think that, for example, you know, the case of, I mean, this is just the most well-known case, or was, probably no longer, the case of Professor Colin Blakemore.
Well, let's before going into other people, I'm interested in the people that you were infiltrating. Their modus operandi was not to attack people, was it?
Yeah, that's okay. Forgive me. That's fair. Yeah.
And so to say that the very least these officers and their families should expect with a postal bomb is significantly overstating the risk.
It may appear that way now. I thought, you know, it seemed reasonable at the time.
Were any precautions taken?
I've no recollection.
Can we go to page 54, paragraph 6.17? So essentially this is further risk assessment, isn't it? And your assessment is actually a bigger risk of him negligently compromising the SDS as he continues to socialise with activists in an atmosphere with a lot of alcohol.
Yes.
If we go to page 56, paragraph 7.2, please. Let you read that. And then if we could have the next paragraph, please, 7.3. So essentially in these two paragraphs, what you're communicating is your view that it will be best to pension DS Chitty off.
Yes.
And that if he wants to continue the debauched life of Mike Blake, it will have no bearing on your secret operation. That's 7.2.
Yes.
So essentially you're saying, let him continue to be Mike Blake and pension him off. That is the least bad disposal of this problem.
Yeah, I think it's difficult now, but okay, I can just accept it for what's written. Yeah.
Let him continue sexually to deceive Lizzie.
In effect.
And if we look at 7.3, that is essentially a statement of the golden rule, isn't it?
Yes.
And those less crucial considerations were the fact that Mr. Chitty had sexually deceived multiple women.
Yes.
Possibly fathered a child. Being left to continue sexually deceiving women. There's reference in the papers to drink driving, his fraudulent expenses claims, and the risk of him negligently compromising the operation as he proceeds to live the debauched lifestyle of Mike Blake. That, in cold, hard terms, is the application of the golden rule, isn't it?
Yes.
Seriously improper to propose to ignore all of that, wasn't it?
It would seem that way today, yes.
What was Detective Chief Inspector Edmondson's reaction to your proposed disposal of the Chitty affair?
I think it was, well, I think it was to take a view from senior management. As for I can't recall any particular response from him.
If we go to 746137, please, that's tab B53. We see DCI Edmondson pushing your discussion paper up the chain of command, and there is a conspicuous lack of any opinion expressed either way in that minute, isn't there?
Yes, yeah.
But it is described as urgent. And we see that it's going to Commander Ops and Commander P. Is Commander P the personnel commander?
Yes, yes.
Through the then Chief Superintendent of CE Squad. The bottom of the page we see Commander Ops, that's, is that Commander Buchanan?
Yes, yes.
To Chief Superintendent CE, saying it's an important document and asking for written observations and recommendations. And it may cut matters short if I summarise what follows, but it appears from the papers that Commander Buchanan decides that with safeguards, the disciplinary process can in fact proceed, because he believes the threat to you and other former UCOs is overstated. He's backed by Commander Moss, and that decision is endorsed by DAC Howley. And there are other senior officers on this minute sheet, including HN337. Were you aware that your paper was being disseminated to so many senior officers?
Yes. Well, maybe not all of them, but certainly up the chain, yeah.
And presumably you were told that the decision was the disciplinary process was going to continue.
Yes.
What safeguards were going to be used to progress that course of action without compromising the SDS?
Well, that's what I remember, what I mentioned a short while back about my role of leverage. And shall I just briefly repeat it?
No, don't repeat anything you've said already.
Yep.
I'll be asking you some more questions about the disciplinary process itself in a moment. On the face of the papers, it therefore appears that a significant number of very senior officers see a document which, amongst other things, records all of Chitty's wrongdoing, including multiple deceitful sexual relations. Did anybody give you any feedback, or did you learn of any reaction to those multiple sexual deceptions?
No.
Or to the possibility that Mike Blake had fathered a child?
No.
I can find no suggestion on the papers that anything was done about Chitty's sexual deception of women, or about the prospect of Chitty continuing to live as Mike Blake. Do you agree that that is what happened?
I do. I would just, bit slightly belatedly, just try and insert a proviso about this phrase I used about returning to the Mike Blake lifestyle. I think it, and I don't think that there was ever any. Certainly, there wouldn't have been any intention in my mind that he should continue what he was doing as Mike Blake.
Can we have up, please, 746106? It's tab B57, sir. This is a branch note, 11th of May 1994, SDS discussion paper regarding DS Mike Chitty. If we go to page 3, paragraph 5, this is a document produced by Acting Chief Superintendent HN337, if you need to remind yourself as to who 337 is. But I will let you read paragraph 5, particularly emphasising the passages towards the end.
There is no. Yes.
So it appears from that document that HN337 is not unduly concerned by the prospect of a negligent disclosure on Chitty's part, takes a fatalistic attitude to him continuing to use the identity of Mike Blake, and appears to be contemplating letting him just continue to do so. Is that fair?
Yes.
Are you aware of anything at all being done to stop Mike Chitty continuing to act as Mike Blake?
Well, I think in my welfare role, I was able to continue making assessments right up to the disciplinary hearing, and then subsequently, I don't know for how long, so at least, that would be something that
Do you know whether or not Mike Chitty continued to live the life of Mike Blake?
No, I don't believe that he did.
Hang on, you say you don't believe he did. Could you answer my question? Do you know whether or not he did?
At the time, I would have had a pretty clear indication. At some point after the disciplinary hearing, yes, through contact, because let's not forget, I'm sure you're going to, well, it may or may not get mentioned otherwise, but, the disciplinary hearing, I gave...
We are coming to the disciplinary.
Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Could you concentrate on the question? I'm asking whether or not you actually know whether Chitty continued to act as Mike Blake or not.
I was able to make an assessment. I don't know 100%, of course.
Can we take that document down now, please? I want to look at some of the contingency planning that arose from the Chitty affair. Can we have 746099, please? Tab B59. And if we go, it says threats to operational security posed by Mike Chitty, SDS contingency plan. If we go to page 3 in paragraph 5.3. This is a document dated the 29th of May. I'll give you a moment to read that.
Yes.
So it appears that you, DS Dines and HN87 have all been deployed to speak to DS Chitty with two aims in mind: preserving the integrity of the SDS operation and helping him because he's suffering from stress.
Yes.
No mention there of stopping him continuing living the debauched life of Mike Blake.
No, but if we had anything to say about that, if we had any intelligence information, I'm sure we would have said.
If we could go over to 5.8. Another method of usefully monitoring DS Chitty's behaviour, this time as his alter ego Mike Blake, is via current SDS operatives in the animal liberation field. This may yet prove useful in achieving the objective of obtaining preemptive or early intelligence of disclosure. And if we go to 5.9, equally, of course, that method is complemented by the thorough monitoring of all routine intelligence coming into ARNI and CE Squad from the usual variety of sources to ensure maximum efficiency, but still to maintain requisite discretion. Urgent discussions will be held with DCI TN 53. So, rather than seeking to persuade Chitty to stop living the life of Mike Blake, plans are being put in place to use SDS assets to keep tabs on Mike Blake and to keep tabs on the bigger intelligence picture.
I think it's going too far to make that claim. It's not recorded, but it would.
I beg your pardon, what isn't recorded? Because I think that is...
Well, I was going to say, the efforts to deter Mike Chitty up to the disciplinary hearing and after the disciplinary hearing, mine and other officers, I think perhaps one of the other officers, whether meant was a police federation officer, everyone with an element of influence. It was not just intended to prevent him making some kind of disclosure to the media or something, but equally to ensure or to encourage him to stop his behaviour using Mike Blake's identity. It would have been, I'm sure.
Were SDS resources used to keep tabs on Mike Blake?
I beg your pardon? Sir?
Were SDS resources used to keep tabs on Mike Blake?
I've no recollection of it.
Were other intelligence sources monitored as proposed in paragraph 5.9?
Yes, I think that suggests that happened.
Could we take this document down now, please, and can we have up 746098? This is tab B61, sir. (746098), please. This is a branch note recording that HN 337, the acting chief superintendent, is that of CE squad? So my first question is this right? It's the acting chief superintendent for CE squad coming to speak to the SDS UCOs.
Yes.
And as it says in paragraph 1, it's to explain the reasons why the discipline case against Chitty must proceed and outline the considerations and constraints which governed SO12 senior management's decisions in dealing with the matter. Is the backdrop to this that it was unsettling for the UCOs to have had Mike Chitty go rogue, and the prospect of him being disciplined increased the risk of a damaging disclosure?
Yes.
So the chief superintendent is coming along to explain to the officers why there has to be some discipline.
Yes.
Paragraph 2, a full and frank exchange of views ensued. Did HN 337 fully explain to the UCOs what Chitty had done?
I can't recall today, but I'm sure they would have had, a pretty good summary.
And did that include the fact that Chitty's downfall was seeking to continue post-deployment a sexual relationship?
I can't actually recall.
Is it likely to have done so?
Yes, it would be likely.
And would it be a fair assessment of what was said, that there was criticism of Chitty maintaining his legend and maintaining a sexual relationship undercover, but there was no criticism of the fact of a sexual relationship during the deployment?
It's very difficult to say today, but reading the note, there's no suggestion that that was raised.
And if HN 337 had been concerned by a revelation that during his deployment DS Chitty had deceived multiple women and wanted to stop it, that sort of thing happening again, he would have said so, wouldn't he?
That would seem reasonable. I can't be sure today.
And it would have been recorded.
I would have expected that.
Can we go now to 746097, tab B62? We're moving on now from the 1st of June to the 6th of June 1994. And page 2, paragraph 9, please. This is an update by you.
Yes.
Once you keep that in mind, and can you also read from page 3, paragraph 15? Are you able to help us with who sees this note?
Can I help with?
Who gets to see this update? This is you updating the position on the 6th of June.
Well, I did, obviously my DCI, and then whether it went above, I'm sure it did. I can't.
Would it be a reasonable supposition that it might well have gone to all of the officers that I named earlier who were copied into your discussion paper?
It's possible.
Were they likely candidates? I appreciate you don't know.
Yes, yes.
So these two paragraphs read together are Chitty essentially threatening to undermine your work securing the arrest and conviction of Clark and Shepherd.
Yes.
By asserting that rules had been broken and you had got far too close to the action without that being disclosed to the court.
Yes.
Was there any management reaction to Chitty's assertion that these convictions were unsafe?
Not that I can recall. I'm sure if there had been, I'm sure I certainly would have been aware at the time, and I'd remember it today, I think.
And was that because all concerned were applying the golden rule? What mattered was the security of the SDS operation?
I think that might be going too far.
Why?
It would, I would expect a senior officer, a senior officer reading this to ask me, the writer, about the allegations or the actions.
Did that actually happen?
No, I don't recall. I don't think it did.
Okay, well, we'll move on. Can I have 747174, please? B68. This is the long-anticipated disciplinary hearing, which is the 14th of July, 1994. We've got the disciplinary papers up here, but I'll try and take it quickly. You act as a character witness.
Yes.
Chitty is reduced in rank to constable for making false claims on a guilty plea.
Could you repeat? Sorry.
He's reduced in rank to constable.
That's right.
Because he's
yes.
pleaded guilty to making false claims.
Yes.
These are the travel expenses when he's
Yes.
a protection officer. There are no charges arising from his sexual deception of women or anything else.
No.
It's simply, all the charges arise from accounting irregularities.
And none of them related at all to his work on the SDS. It was all on a different squad.
Were there discussions about what to charge him with, how to keep the SDS out of it,
Well, there may have been. I honestly don't recall. I recall being asked to give evidence.
Was there any discussion at any stage that the penalty should not be too severe in order not to antagonise DS Chitty and risk the SDS operation?
I think there probably would have been. Can't be 100% certain.
You plead, you'll get reduced in rank, and we proceed to a medical retirement.
I don't know quite how. I don't know whether medical retirement followed at all, or quick. Whether I've forgotten that, but certainly I remember the reduction in rank.
And so the ultimate disposal of this is the SDS operation is not compromised, is it?
No.
But Mike Blake has committed very serious wrongdoing for which he is not properly held to account. He's free to continue living the life of Mike Blake. And that's a shameful state of affairs, isn't it?
Yes.
To which, in fairness to you, you are at the bottom of quite a list of ever more senior officers.
Yes.
All driven by the golden rule.
Well, to varying degrees.
So is that an appropriate moment to break for lunch?
Certainly. We'll break for an hour and resume at 2.